Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Faith Podcast. My name is Evan Bungham. I have my co-host Luke Timmons with me here today. We are in episode 27, and we have a very exciting episode for you. But before we dive right into it, let's go ahead and catch up a little bit. Luke, how you doing, man?
Good. Bought a boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bought a boat, huh?
Yeah, I was saving that.
A boat. Okay. Wow.
It's just a canoe. I should say it's just a canoe, but it's a canoe. And actually, so this shout out to our guests for this one, because it kind of inspired me to do it. And I've been looking for a better way to get more into waterfowl hunting. And so we bought a boat, my brother-in-law, so Jenna's brother, their old canoe. And yeah, cool. So gonna kind of get her out on the water here the next couple weeks and get the dog out used to it.
Make sure you get it registered.
Oh yeah. I think it's actually already registered up for this year, but yeah, nice. For sure.
I do find that funny that you have to register
a canoe
because do you remember that I had that old red, what was it? It was why can't I think of the camping brand?
Coleman.
Coleman. There was a Coleman canoe, like one of the old school Coleman canoes.
Sure.
This thing was bulletproof.
Yeah.
And I was like, why in the hell do you have to register a canoe? I get a boat. Yeah. But a canoe, it's just like...
It's like good old government overreach, right?
Oh, yeah. Well,
but
cool,
no,
man.
yeah.
That's exciting. Are you going to go through and spray paint it and do the whole work?
Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to just because I know you can buy just layout blinds basically for canoes.
Sure.
That just kind of sit over top of it. We'll see. I may just paint it, and then, it's already a green, so...
It's a fun project.
Yeah, so spray paint or we'll see, and like I said, get it out here in the next few weeks and do some heavy scouting, because once I get back from our Washington trip, it's going to be early teal will be open. Yeah, well, because I'll have like a day and a half, so I doubt I'll even go out for early teal just with work and everything. But come, what is it, the 21st, I think. So I'll be gone Jeez. We're just so 21st is opener for duck in the south zone, and then I'll be gone that weekend for Goose Fest in Wisconsin. And so once I get back, I'll probably take off maybe Monday and get out on the maiden voyage. So
that's wild. That's 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, that's fast and furious, but
wow,
should be
cool.
Should be sweet.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Well, so is it? I'm assuming it's plastic.
Yeah.
It's not Kevlar,
Nope. And it's a heavier duty one, and it does have a square stern, so I could throw on like a little trolling motor on there, or even a little 2-horse thing. So
Facebook Marketplace, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've already been scoping some out, so we'll see. But
nice.
Yeah. So like I said,
Boundary Waters canoe too.
It definitely could. It's heavier, so portaging might be a pain, but if you bought those
more push-ups,
yeah. If you bought those, I was looking at some canoe wheels, and that would make it completely obviously easy. So already scoping some smaller lakes out in the south of 212, I think is the cutoff for South Zone. So Highway 212. So anything south of there, I've been scoping her out on the old Onyx.
Ever been on a boat?
Yeah, he's been on a boat. He's never been in a canoe, so that's where I want to get the canoe ASAP, and then get out as much as I can with him, even if it's just on Chester Woods, and just putzing around with him just to get him used to it. And so I don't know what I'll do yet. I think it'll be kind of fun to do some sweet videos with it and be a completely new learning experience.
Well, you're a canoe expert now from our first maiden voyage where we
Boundary Waters. Yeah. We won't be doing that one again. So
well, good, man. Congrats. That's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Like I said, just a new way to get out hunting, and I've always wanted to get more into waterfowl, so didn't feel like dropping a few grand on a boat, so I settled for
even the kayaks are expensive.
Oh, kayaks. At that point, it's like whatever you get. It's like anything, whatever you're into. But yeah, you could buy a kayak for the price of a boat. So it's wild, whatever you're into, man.
Well, if you're ever ready to upgrade, I'll sell you the John boat that's needs restoration on the pond.
I'll pass. I've
You
seen
can
that one.
you can lug that giant thing
That
around.
sucker is that would take some doing.
I've seen better days. I still never forget the memory of the day that I put a 22 hole through luckily the top part of the boat, so it wasn't like in the hull or anything like that. And I got a stern whooping from the old man. But that's exciting, man. It's right around the corner, and
it's insane.
We thank you to you for getting some. Here in southeast Minnesota, it's been hilarious that we went through probably the wettest year on record, I would say, probably in 20 years.
For spring and early summer, absolutely.
And then now, for whatever reason, I feel like we live in the Bermuda Triangle of our farm.
Can't catch rain.
Of where we couldn't catch a storm for like literally probably a month. And we planted, I believe, the last week of August, or excuse me, of July.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks
dead,
like we just planted
nothing
2 weeks ago.
So
we got plants. They're German, but they we need.
They needed some help.
Last night we finally got some rain. We overseeded a bunch of clover down thanks to Luke.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed now that we can just get some weekly rains here for the next hopefully 2 months. And I think should be locked in.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna pull up and see if I can't find. I want to say it was somewhere around an inch probably, but
nice.
We're just looking at
on a random side note, got to give a shout out to Tanner Kramer. Congratulations to my Calcutta partner for the Macy Joe Invitational. Finally made it to the shootout, so that was pretty fun.
Nice.
A lot of golf. 70, I think, what did we play? 70-some plus holes in 3 days, so that was pretty wild.
Damn.
But definitely fun tournament. So thank you, Justin, for putting that on and letting us be a part of it. And hopefully maybe next year we'll be able to get a Wild Faith sponsorship in there and donate some free gear or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, it looks like just about an inch of rain. So we needed that and some.
That's probably more rain that we've gotten in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. No, it's been interesting, man. So it'll be a fast and furious fall with the. I mean,
the good news, I feel like we're pretty. I mean, we're talking for the farm now, and
it's kind of
Luke hunts out there. It's myself, my brother. We've really, since my dad passed going to be 4 years now. This fall, we've done a tremendous amount of work out there of habitat improvement, doing food plots, timber stand improvement, new tree stand setups, new food plots, planting native grasses, getting switchgrass in there. We've done a lot in 4 years' time. We've kind of kicked it in the high gear, and it's been fun to see it all come together. And it feels good knowing that it's, there's still probably a little tweaks we could do here and there, but at August 15th here, that we can kind of put your hands down and just take a break and just,
let it sit,
and, we'll be ready for opener. I mean, we're literally a month out,
less than a month
tomorrow,
right? Because what is it? The 14th is opener.
What is? Oh man.
So less than a month.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yep.
Shoot your bows, people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I got a 3D shoot this weekend. I'm doing again. So should be
nice. Which
fun.
One are you doing?
Just Rochester's. Yep. And they always put on a good one. Nice local, and get out and try some new shots and see what happens. So
nice.
It'll be a good time.
I was going to ask, did you end up buying the new Bowmar broadheads?
No, not yet. Well, I'll see if I do or not. It's kind of one of those things, like I got my setup kind of locked in for this year. I really don't feel like tweaking anything less than a month before.
Like same with me. I was just like, God, I was just sitting. They had a deal. I don't know why in the hell I was at Walmart, but I was doing something at Walmart, and they had $40 for a 3-pack of the no collar hypodermics. I was like, that's $10 off.
The rages.
So I bought them, and so I bought 2 packs, and now I'm good now for fall. So
no, I'll probably maybe wait. I mean, it looks like a sick setup, so I'll see how the fall treats it, with people using them, and try shooting them in the spring for turkey maybe or something, and go from there. I feel like that thing would blow through, absolutely tear a turkey in half.
Blow through. thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll be good. I'll be curious to see what our number, we'll have probably, bet you 3 or 4 people for opener out at the farm, but I'd be curious how many last year, like we're excited that we'll do a fun campfire podcast or something like that the night before opener.
Mm-hmm.
But I think last year, did we shoot any does on opening morning? I know we did opening evening.
Opening weekend, but not opening morning. No, it was like really hot and rainy.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
It was like weird,
it's like a weird, yeah, it was like a weird mist fog, and then it kind of turned into a rain, and then it settled down in the afternoon. And was it? I think your brother shot one, right?
Yeah. I think we shot 3 that week. I think I shot 2. So, and this is an interesting thing now this year too. We only get 3 tags for our zone. So you can a combination of any 3, I think. So it could be a bow buck, it could be a shotgun buck, and a muzzleloader buck, or vice versa, a doe for each one of those seasons.
But you get the CWD tags, can't you?
Nope.
Really? Oh, that is new.
I don't think so. I'll have to read the regs on it, but I once again do not take any of the advice that we give on this podcast. But no, I think it is. I think it's only a 3-year, just like it was last year. I don't think, because if you get a CWD tag, that counts to your main tag, to my understanding. I could be wrong. Could be completely wrong. But that's worth a call to the DNR to iron that out. So.
Yeah, when in doubt, just give them a call.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of any other interesting news. I guess the only other big one would be what kind of dropped up at Camp Ripley up on my neck of the woods. They opened the whole entire camp with a special permit, but for the whole entire season though. So now I believe you, rather than being the couple dates that used to be able to go in there and hunt, it is opened. I think the whole season to public, which is pretty wild. I think only for archery though. Definitely not for gun.
Gotcha. That'll be a lot of new opportunities for people up in that neck of the woods for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's one of those things. I think they're trying to revitalize that hunt and get people kind of back into it. I know it used to be a staple for people kind of in central, or really for all over the state. I mean, you talk about 55,000 acres of just primo bow hunting.
Oh, right.
That's what that is.
Yeah, no, that'll be interesting to see what the numbers come out of that hunt, because that's, like you said, primo land. I did see another new piece that I think next spring, and it is the government putting it on, so it'll probably be 2 springs. But the Minnesota's finally getting an online licensing app for hunting. Yeah, I saw it. I was looking through the new updated waterfowl regs book, and I'll pull it up here quick. But yeah, it looks like they got a new, like I said, it's supposed to be coming in the spring, but I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
from a
March,
standpoint at least.
March 2025. New DNR mobile app and licensing system are coming soon, giving people more options for on-the-go licensing and registration.
Moving to the 20th
I know.
century.
It's crazy. Who would have thought? Minnesota, of all places.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, South Dakota's app is awesome.
It's the best. It's 100% dummy proof. Like if every state just modeled that system, they'd be fine. Because like you get into some of them, like Montana is pretty easy, but they got that weird ALS number.
Mexico's is old.
Yeah,
their system is dinosaur age old.
Yeah, North Dakota's could use a revamp.
Yep.
But yeah, it's interesting from state to state, the nuances from each.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm pretty sure Wisconsin's got a pretty.
Wisconsin's is pretty solid. I think they do. I can't remember from last time from Goosefest last year, but I think I just do it online usually because I'm just used to having to do it like that for Minnesota. But yeah. So
nice.
Like I said, maybe come turkey season, but I doubt it.
It's an exciting time though, man. We got football's coming. Man, Vikings can just. I want to cry with all the injury reports that we have cooking for us, but we got hunting coming up, and it's go time.
Yeah, I mean, at least the positive side with the Vikings just doing what they do best is sucking. We can just focus on more hunting.
Focus on hunting. I'll just
not waste 4 hours in the afternoon on a Sunday to watch them lose.
I'll just never forget. I think I was probably about 16, just starting to really, you got to think, I mean, I played college football and stuff, but like I I didn't really watch a whole lot of football.
Yeah.
I just played it.
Right.
And finally, like at 16, I kind of got into watching, like really getting into watching college football and really watching the NFL and stuff. And just remember that was back when the old man was like just starting to get really into bow hunting,
Yeah.
like a lot. Cause I was just, that's all I wanted to do was bow hunt.
Sure.
And then it got to the point where the Vikings, I can't remember what the hell was going on in the 2016 season, but just like, yep, I'm done watching them.
Yeah.
So it was like Sundays, we just would turn the TV off and it was like, we are going to go to church and we're going to go bow hunting. That's all we're going to do.
But all you
like,
need to do on a Sunday.
Perfect Sunday. It's like, that sounds great.
Yeah. I'm sure they were probably on their 8th quarterback of the year. And yeah. So no, man, it'll be good. It'll be tons and tons of hunting. I mean, we've only talked about deer and doing some waterfowl, but pheasant is right in there, and that's going to be.
Well, it's kind of it's exciting. I think of it like we dove into it. We haven't really talked about really any deer hunting. I mean, you think about it. I mean, like we started it back in March. We went through the whole turkey shindig, and then we kind of like we announced that we were kind of gonna, for us, it's nice to kind of take the summers with a little bit of a relaxed approach where we still pumped out an episode a week, but we just focused our efforts somewhere else. So now it'll be fun to actually just kind of do what we love probably to talk about most and just dive in the nit and gritty about bow hunting and hunting ducks and hunting pheasants.
It'll be fun. I'm excited. This next month is gonna fly because it's just busy, and then it'll be, hate to say it, but it'll be freaking December before we know it. So
it goes by too fast. But I think it's a good cue in for who we have for a guest, who's very, very awesome episode. So I'll let you kind of run with it.
Yeah, so we're going to be joined by Jordan Frommer, and he is the creator of the Duck Gun Chronicles. Yep. Pretty much, I would guess most people who are in the waterfowl community probably have heard of it or seen his videos. He's kind of built a pretty dedicated following just by, sharing his adventures. He's got some crazy adventures. I won't give them away here before we get into it, but tips, strategies, insights, and just kind of in the world of waterfowl. And so we'll just kind of dive into his, how he got into hunting and kind of the inspiration behind Duck Gun Chronicles, and then how faith kind of played a role in both, not only his personal but his professional life as well. So without further ado, we'll bring Jordan in. All right, so we're bringing in Jordan here. Jordan, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to be on with you guys, fellas.
Yeah, appreciate you hopping on here. I know you're a busy guy, and I'm sure you got quite a busy fall queued up for you.
It's going to be a whirlwind, and it's starting pretty quick.
Yeah, what's the first big trip you got going on?
I leave tomorrow, actually.
Oh, let's
go. We're going to North Dakota, early goose. I've never done it. Freelancing for some early goose. I've been to North Dakota twice for ducks. It was phenomenal. All freelance. Public and private land, knocking on doors, that kind of thing. Yep. And we see a lot of geese around, but it's we almost always shoot ducks. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a little crazy for doing it, but I mean, that's all right. That's what makes it fun. So just me and my dad going. We're gonna jump in the truck, drive up there, scout for a day, and then hunt for 4 days. And do you guys know what the early season limit is for geese in North Dakota?
Is it? I don't.
It's crazy. But,
okay, that's what I was gonna say. Is it crazy?
It's 15 per person.
Nice. Crap!
So,
wow.
yeah, it'll be a miracle to get to that number. Me and my dad were talking about it. I was telling him, like, it's like, hey, I've been on hunts with like 6 dudes and hours and like good hunts, and you're shooting like 30. 2 guys shooting 30 would be insane.
I tell you
not
what,
saying it won't happen or it can't happen.
I've seen some crazy numbers though, between so I've got a brother-in-law that lives in Roseau, and like we did an early back when Minnesota still has the early season goose. I want to say it's second week of September. I think it is, like bow opener, or maybe that first week. And we limited out with like 4 guys last year, and it was incredible. But I've never seen that many geese in my life, and I was like, it could be done, but like, that's that'll be a fun trip.
Oh yeah. Yep, excited about it. Learning, doing something different, just getting after it and starting pretty early. So
nice. Is that usually
awesome.
Is that like probably the earliest trip you've ever taken?
Right. Yeah, it is. As far as I know, it's like the earliest thing, or I used to think it was just September 1st everywhere. And then a few years ago, I heard about people going out to North Dakota, August 15th. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, nothing opens till September 1st. And, September 1st is dove, early teal. A lot of states is early goose. Yeah. And so for me, like September 1st has kind of always been the inaugural opening day. Regardless of where I've gone, I've done like early season goose in Michigan, early teal in Indiana and Iowa, traveling around different things or dove opener, whatever. So it's always usually the 1st of September, but this year, August 15th, we're ready to go.
Let's go.
Dang, that's sweet.
Nice.
And you're going with the old man. So that's even better. Adds a little bit of coolness to it too. So, I mean, kind of going off of that. So kind of just diving into kind of your upbringing, I guess, what kind of influence your interest in not only hunting but specifically too with duck hunting?
Sure, yeah. So first started hunting with my grandpa, and actually the channel and the podcast and all that's kind of named a little bit for that. So when he passed away, he handed down to me an old A5. So it's a real classic gun from, I think it was like 1960s.
Wow.
And at the time, well, I need to start from the beginning a little bit, but so I started upland hunting with him, and my dad and some of my uncles would come. My grandpa, he'd always have like 4 English pointers in his kennel at his house. And so that was something growing up that I just loved. I mean, I loved seeing those dogs, and first thing in the morning, we always let them out, and he always had them like well trained. Like he wouldn't even let them put like a fingernail over the line, open both the gates, and he'd call them out like name by name. And they'd run out, and I'd be like running after them, chasing them. So I was exposed to that side of it a lot, growing up. And then I finally got to the age where I could hunt, and I got a single shot 20 gauge, and that sucker kicked like a mule. I mean, like harder than you can imagine. Still to this day, I don't think there's a gun that I've ever shot that kicks as hard as this thing. 'Cause it's a youth 20 gauge, and there's just nothing on it. There's no action to take any of the kick away. Time? I'm going to say I was around 10, maybe 9, 10,
was it like
somewhere
one of those
in there.
Cricket guns, like just little itty bitty 20 gauges, or is it like a full size single
It's a single shot. Yeah. Single shot. I don't know what the Cricket is, to be honest, but it's a single shot break action 20 gauge. So there's no action in there. It's like literally made to be lightweight. And then you put, a hunting load in there.
Yeah.
And they're throwing up like hedge apples for me to shoot and like all kinds of stuff. And they're like, just keep the gun right up against your shoulder. I remember I did a couple of those. I mean, it just kicked like you wouldn't believe. And so I'm wearing this big, like fluffy winter jacket. I'm just going to leave it off a little bit so the padding can take some of the kick. And you can imagine, as a 10-year-old, you're like, what do these guys know better than me? Put it out there and do that a few times. I had the next day, and part of the thing was we're practicing for a turkey shoot that my dad was going to take me, that his work was putting on. I don't think anybody's like corporate companies are doing turkey shoots nowadays, but back then, I literally had a bruise like the size of like a pie plate on my chest and shoulder from shooting that thing. And I had to shoot the turkey shoot left-handed.
Oh God.
I was so sore from that. So I still have that single shot. I actually let my nephew shoot it earlier this year. I'm like, hey, you shot your turkey last year with a 410. You want to try this 20 gauge?
Yeah.
He kicked it once. He's like, or shot it once. It kicked real hard. And he's like, I think I'll stick with the 410. I'm like, yep.
He's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
that's
cool. Kind of to continue on with that story. So, I hunted upland with my grandpa, and my dad and my uncles came along with me, and did that. I mean, just for a few years, just enough to get a taste. And then my grandpa fell into bad health, had a lot of health problems. And from that point on, he really couldn't hunt anymore. He had to get rid of his hunting dogs, all that kind of stuff. But there was a little bit of exposure to that. But before he passed away, he handed down the A5 that I started out hunting with. At that point, I hadn't hunted since I hunted with him when I was 11. And I'm like, this is fast forward, even though he was in bad health, he lived a long time, going through dialysis for kidney failure, and he had all kinds of heart problems. And but so it's I was 26 by this time or something. and he passed that shotgun to me. And that's kind of where the channel name and podcast all comes from, because I named it Duck Gun Chronicles. Like if that gun had a story, like had a mouth, the stories it could tell. And after he passed away, there's kind of like no bridge to, I guess, learn those stories or be able to, be a part of them. So it's like, I wanted to create that in a way, in a pseudo way anyways, by having, the channel named Duck Gun Chronicles after his gun, and the podcast Duck Gun Podcast. So yeah, it's honestly, it's been a journey. So
love it. I bet that's super cool. You brought up a cool point that I guess I haven't really thought about. Is like, if your hunting gear could talk, right? Like the stories it could tell, and passing it down all the way through, your grandpa to you is that's awesome. So with upland, I do a ton of upland hunting up here in Minnesota. So love that part. But so where did the duck hunting kind of start?
Right. So, I mean, honestly, my exposure to hunting was pretty minimal beyond that. So we hunted the upland, we hunted quail, like I said, behind some English pointers.
Yep.
And it was something that was really cool. Always stood out in my mind as something cool. And then it was just something we couldn't do. And then I had buddies that would deer hunt, and again, kind of like inquire and ask about it, like, hey, and they're like, well, you got to like have a place to go and a gun and this and that. And like, never really beyond that, my dad put me in things like the 4-H shooting sports, and we went fishing a lot, but there wasn't a lot of hunting in my life to that point. So when I got that shotgun, like at the same time, my wife got me a lab puppy. And so I got my grandpa's shotgun, a lab puppy. And the first thing I'm thinking is like, where's the upland game? Like I should start upland hunting. Yep. It's kind of like just at a weird point in your life when a lot of things were like transitioning from, like, I was just getting married, you're done with college, you're done, like certain parts of your life are kind of over, and you're starting a new part of your life. And I really was looking for something. And so I'm like, I should try upland game hunting. I start Googling, and, first thing I find out is that like, there's just upland game hunting is non-existent in Indiana. It really is. Like the only thing there is like, farm, pigeon shoots, or not pigeon, pheasants. Sorry.
Sure. Yep.
Pheasants aren't pigeons. Sorry. Let's clarify that. But, and there's quail in like Southern Indiana. That's where I did it. But the closest thing that I could come up with was duck hunting. And that's really how, like, as weird as that sounds, like I decided to duck hunt because I Googled and there wasn't pheasant hunting in Indiana.
Interesting.
That's funny.
So
that's how I started.
There isn't, I thought there was. So there isn't like a big pheasant population in Indiana. I just think there would be with all the egg, and for what kind of, I mean, it's somewhat similar to, I think, maybe a little bit of southeastern Minnesota or western Minnesota.
Right. There's very, very few pheasant in Indiana. There's like and if you're a hunter, and like I've seen them, and that's only because I'm in wild places. But there's never like a spot you're gonna go hunt and be like, okay, let me go to this public area, or at least I guess there could be some. But even the people that I know that have like private spots, they'll like buy pheasants to like add to it or supplement. It's like, it's not real. Like quote, like air quotes.
Wild. Yeah.
Not wild pheasant. Yeah. Not wild pheasant populations. And like, if you shoot a wild pheasant, you almost feel bad.
Yeah,
like,
right.
This could be the last one in the state. Just, they're extinct now.
Yeah. Right. Jeez. That's awesome. So what was you got the gun, you got the dog. How'd that first hunt go once you decided to go duck hunting?
Not great. I mean,
usually it goes.
It took me 11 hunts to shoot my first duck.
No, sure.
Again, this is like me just using the internet, like trying to use it as like a resource and research, trying to figure out like how to kill ducks on my own. So like I got a canoe. I went and bought a canoe off Facebook Marketplace, like $250. I had a buddy that hunted. He didn't want to hunt with me, but he hunted. And he, so he kind of gave me a little bit of guidance. He's like, oh, we'll buy these. I think they're like cheap flambeau decoys from Cabela. So I got some flambeaus. I got some anchors. I got a canoe. And then I paddled out to a spot on public lands. And again, like I had this first time ever hunting, zero experience, no idea what exactly to expect. And I start paddling in, and like, as I paddle in, come up to like the beginning of the public land area, and boom, a headlight comes on. And I'm like, and like, this is like, I don't even know, probably like a 30-40 minute like canoe paddle up river from the boat launch to like the public land. I'm like, oh man, well, there's someone in that spot. And I'm like, okay, I'll just keep paddling. And I paddle the next spot. Boom, headlamp comes on. And like, keep paddling. I'm paddling upriver, upstream. It's a slow flowing stream, but so I'm just keep paddling. And boom, another headlamp comes on, and another next spot, boom, 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 just keep going. And there's headlamps in every spot I go to check. So like, now I'm like further up the river than I've ever gone, because I've never needed to. I just kind of go to the edge of it, and you see birds flying around. Like, okay, yeah, it looks like a good spot. I did my scouting. That's what they said to do on those YouTube videos. And I get up there, and there's a break in the river. One goes to the right, one goes to the left. So I'm like, I don't know which to go. I'll go to the right. And so I go to the right and go up this like little creek and start setting up, throw my decoys out, pull my canoe up into the brush. And, it's probably now, it was like pitch black at this point, but it was about 20 minutes till shooting light, and some guys start walking out of the woods.
Oh boy.
And they walk right towards me, and they're like, you can't hunt here. This is my uncle's farm. And I like was trespassing, went up a creek, off the public land.
Yeah.
But like, I think they could see like the worry in my face or something, but they're like, okay, well, just, you can go ahead and sit here. We'll go sit here. They like sat like 50 yards away from me on this creek. And I had one wood duck land in my decoys. And I didn't even shoot at it. I tried to pull up on it, and I think, I don't know what, I just kind of froze, didn't shoot it, and it flew away. And I sky busted at a couple other ducks, but didn't shoot anything, needless to say. So it started off pretty rough, and it took me 11 hunts till I finally shot my first bird.
Dang, that's awesome.
That's a cool story, though.
But it kind of just shows, to any new duck hunter out there that's trying to get into it, how far you can come, and now you're running the Duck Gun Chronicles, and it's like you got to earn it, right? You got to kind of earn earn your spot and figure it out, and a little trial by error. And
now that you know what you know, what would you have done differently with that hunt?
I wouldn't have gone there. An opener. When you go there, if you scout the week before, you don't realize that on opener, as somebody without any experience, that like all these people are going to come out of the woodworks, and this place is going to be packed with hunters. So now I kind of know better. I got my more secretive places that you're going to go in opener. You still check those places, but especially in a state like Indiana, where it's the opportunity is kind of far and few between.
Sure.
But yeah, I probably just wouldn't be there on opener.
That's funny.
So even like with your, spots you have now, how early do you usually try and get in the morning? If it's public,
as late as you can, but sometimes as late as you can is sleeping there the night before. So
sure.
We do a lot of that, which is fun. But if I know that nobody else is going to be hunting on like a Wednesday, I'm pretty sure, and I got like 2 or 3 spots that are pretty solid, I mean, I'll sleep in time to like, put the decoys out and be ready 20 minutes before shooting light or whatever. So it's not like I'm a glutton for punishment all the time, but if I think I have to, like on an opener or something like that, I'm sleeping out in the marsh for sure.
Nice.
Sweet. So you kind of talked about, what was the inspiration a little bit behind, Duck Gun Chronicles, and kind of just walk us through, like how long have you been running the show?
Sure. I think it was like 2017, something like that.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look to get the exact date, and just kind of all, at first it was like, oh, this is season 1. Yep. This is season 2, season 3. It's like, man, now they're all just like,
they blend.
Like I try to go back and look at old footage or find something from a video. I'm like, I have no idea what year that was. It's like ever since, like, it feels like COVID, just everything's just,
yeah, blends
just
right
the
together.
same year. So I think it was 2017. When really, honestly, there wasn't like some big plan or anything. I have no idea why I thought I could make Duck Gun Chronicles and make it successful, and like, actually have people tune in to what I do.
Yeah.
So there was really, I'm just like, all right, I see other people doing this. I was watching guys like freelance duck hunting. I watched the Midwest Flyways guys before I started doing it. But like, funnily enough, I started filming like from the first time I hunted. So I haven't even been hunting that long. So it's
gotcha.
Yeah. So that's nice. Like when I started was like 2017.
Okay.
Perfect.
Cool. So like
the rest is history, huh?
For sure.
Right. Yeah.
And with that, so what was I know after you created the channel and you wanted to go through that, I mean, did you have any media experience, like filming a camera, anything like that before? You just went into it hot and heavy?
Zero. Yeah.
Love it.
Zero. Just watched a lot. Like, I think it might be kind of apparent with me that I have like, what's the right, like, man, I go at things like aggressively and I get obsessed with them and right. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's like, building a boat or like whatever, I'm going to go at it like my life depends on it. And it's almost like I can't help it, where it's like, once I start on it, like it's consuming. So, learning to do the media part of it, everything, it's just, I mean, I don't like, some people have like hobbies and which like duck hunting is considered by a lot of people a hobby. Right. But I don't consider it a hobby. I consider it like part of who I am. So, and same thing with doing the content and the channel and all that. But like outside of that, it's not like I, if I have free time, I'm like, oh, let me think about what kind of, it's like what, you're starting to work on your craft and obsess about duck hunting and obsess about the camera work, obsess about like, I'm watching YouTube videos, or like content to see like how I can do something similar on my stuff. So, that's for whatever reason, that's just how I'm wired.
Oh, no, love that. And how you phrase that too. I feel like a lot of people that, I would say when the YouTube craze started, whatever that was, maybe like 2013, 14, when all of a sudden it was just that transition of like TV died. And then it was just like everyone had a YouTube channel, but how people take it so serious that it's their job, but you said it's a part of who you are, which is really, really cool because I mean, that's just a cool way to look at it because if you love what you do, it's not work,
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So you brought up I know I wanted to touch on this. You brought up the building a boat. So tell us about the Timber Queen.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So again, it kind of goes back to a little bit of what we're talking about where, from like a content perspective as well. Like I'm always like, I'm trying to figure out like what the next cool adventure, that combines with duck hunting is. And like one thing I started was like the Chasing the Opener series, where, it's like, again, like being obsessed with it. And, it's like, man, how do I start hunting earlier? And you started like the first time I duck hunted, it's like, okay, the earliest you can duck hunt is Indiana opener for ducks. And then I learned Indiana has an early season for like teal and geese, right? And you're like, awesome. But I'm like, I still want to go shoot those big ducks now. And then I find out, oh, well, there's other openers in other states. And so like Michigan's right above us. And so then I started going to like the Michigan South Zone and then the Michigan Central Zone. And then it's like, it just kind of built on itself. And then from there, went from like Chasing the Opener series to like, let's buy a short bus, convert it into a camper, and then we'll use that to chase the openers. And so it's just kind of like a continuation of what I've always done where I'm like, how can I make something that's like very unique, very like exciting, something that I get really excited about. And so then I saw this YouTuber doing something like where he lived on a houseboat and fished. I'm like, sweet. The only way you could do this better is if you were duck hunting and chasing the openers.
Love it.
And so that's kind of how that idea was born.
Yep.
And it kind of sat in my mind for a little bit, marinated. And I Googled and I was trying to find places where they'd rent you a houseboat, but nobody does that because like who in their right mind is going to give somebody a giant houseboat to rent? Because like, I'm sure that's just a nightmare, insurance liability thing.
Right.
So yeah. So fast forward, I'm with my buddy Hunter. He's from Iowa, and we're out there for early teal season. This is like last September. And we're walking through, like, the boat access we were at was like in a marina. So we're walking through, and all these houseboats are tied up in the dock. I'm like, hey man, like, I've been having this idea forever. And like, I want to, duck hunt from a houseboat and chase openers. And I'm like, do you know anything about it? And he's like, it turned out he did. He knew a lot about it. His uncle owned a marina growing up and this and that. He's like, actually, that's something that I've wanted to do forever too. I wanted to, kind of follow the migration down the river, which is exactly, what I wanted to do. But, kind of like very similar ideas. And so we started, like, almost as a joke, we started sending each other Facebook marketplace finds of houseboats that were on the Mississippi River. And we had one, and we thought it was going to be perfect. And it was very reasonably priced. And I messaged the guy, and I was like number 2 in line. He's like, oh, well, if this guy doesn't want it, then you guys can have it. Cause like the thing is, either you find these houseboats that are like terrible condition, like they don't work, the engines don't work, they don't float or whatever, or you find like it's a $100,000, $200,000 yacht. And it's like, okay, well, like the in between,
a little bit of room. Yeah.
Right. There's some that are like 65K, but that's still like more than like my envision and budget for something like this was. So we found one that was like, it seemed like it was going to be perfect, but we're number 2 in the line, and the first guy took it. And I'm like, Dang we're never going to find a boat again. Like, this dream is over. And, just in despair over it, to be honest. And then, like, I see this other boat. It gets posted. It was like a weekday morning. I remember I was sitting there and on my phone, and like, it was like just listed. Ooh. And so messaged the guy and pretty much said, like, hey, like I want this boat, because the listing read, whoever can take this out of my yard can have it, kind of thing.
Oh boy.
And so I was like we'll be there like this weekend, kind of thing. And so there's a lot more to the story, but I'll kind of circle around past some of that. But we ended up getting the boat, and like the guy said that he had to turn his listing off. We're the first people to message him.
Really?
He had to turn his listing off because he had over 100 messages the first day.
Wow.
Because this boat, I mean, it's just so cool. It's like a little gem, that we found, which needed a ton of work. But it was true to his word. Like, if whoever can move it out of his yard. So we paid a company, a boat moving company, to move it from his yard to a marina. And did it float? I understand why he put it at like whoever can move it, because it cost, I'm trying to remember, I think it cost $2,900 to move it 20 miles from his yard to the marina. It was like, so because it's oversized, over width, they had like have the front driver and the back driver and like a whole team of people measuring bridges and to make sure they can make it under it. And they're like, they're climbing on the top, like pounding in screws. Like, it was that close to like making it under
sandpaper out.
Right. So, that's how we got the boat.
Crazy.
That's crazy. So how far along are you on the rebuild?
We're pretty far. I think we'll be up not this weekend, but the next, and that's weekend number 10. By weekend, some of these weekends have been like 5-day weekends of like 12-hour days, just grinding away. It really has been more work than I don't want to admit that sometimes, because you don't want to be a little baby flawed, but it's been a labor intense summer. Some of the summer it's been like every other weekend, like 4-day weekends, working like a dog, just dirty work. Every time we find, like, we think we fixed something, we find something else to fix. But it's an old, wooden river houseboat, and it's so cool. But it's been a lot to get it to where it's at.
The motor runs.
Sweet.
Motor runs.
Oh, let's go. Come on.
Yep. It runs. It doesn't go into gear, but so
oh boy,
there's a big difference there. It will though. we'll get it there. We're almost there. We're like literally the next weekend we go up, we're putting it in the water.
Love it. Sweet.
So yeah.
Sweet. So what's the, go ahead, Ev.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's the first, you guys got a hunt planned for it then?
Right. Yeah. We got a few hunts planned where we're going to do some like extended trips on it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to hit up some early teal on the river. And that's kind of like first weekend or first week that it goes in the water, making sure kind of everything goes right. And then, then we'll get to some early teal spots, and maybe some early goose. It'll be open on the Mississippi around there at the same time. So just whatever we can find on that front. And that's just kind of like a bonus to what the main plan. We're going to do a little bit of the chasing the openers, kind of how I envisioned with it, where we're going to hit up some openers along the Mississippi, and then we'll come back again for another extended trip in November and hit up like the diver migration and get some cool hunts that way too.
So that's gonna be awesome. Tell me before you bought the boat, obviously you had this dream and this idea, and now you have the boat. How close to like the fruition that you had in your mind are you feel like it's almost there? Like, are you guys planning on solely hunting out of the boat, or like using it as like a base camp to move away from and then go hunt?
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's like a hunt camp, more or less. It's 43 foot, like 15 foot tall. Like you're not shooting
Need
duck
a lot of brush for that bad
I was going to say, I was like, are you guys going to ghillie this whole thing in? I'm like trying to envision in my head. I've seen the pictures of it and it looks so sweet. That's just like, this thing's going to be badass.
Yeah, no, we're gonna pull duck boats behind it.
Yep.
Like we got to cover like hundreds of miles along the Mississippi. Yeah, so we're gonna live on the boat and then go hunt the backwaters, use our duck boats, and and just come back to it every night and live there.
Like that's such a cool, unique thing.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. So, but we did see like some pictures. Like once we started kind of going with this idea and working on it. And I got two buddies who've been a huge help.
Sure.
I got to give them a little bit of shout out. We got Hunter. He's the co-host of my podcast. And then Zach, we call him Young Padawan. He's kind of yeah. Two super guys. I couldn't find like, I don't even know. It's just perfect. The group we got. Hunter's super knowledgeable about a lot of things. He's pretty, he knows a lot about diesel engines. He knows a lot of things about like nautical stuff, growing up
friend to have.
Around the river. And, me being from Indiana, it's like, I'm kind of more adjacent to like farmers and corn and and stuff like that. I didn't grow up by a river. And Zach, he's always putting his nose down to the grindstone, hard worker. We've all had to be to get this project done, but I can't even remember what question I was answering, but
no, you got it, man. No, that's just so cool.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think of like how the novelty of it, because like Sam Holf, he's the only one I could think of, like, he did the original bus build, but like to do a houseboat build is like, not only can you go duck hunting and you could do anything with that. Like it's such a cool thing.
Right. Yeah. It's like, that's kind of where I was going with it. And we saw some pictures in the past where it's like the market day hunters had boats like this.
Sure.
With just like, straps of ducks. So it's like, there's nothing new under the sun at the end of the day. But as far as like now and filming and like the content and the story and the whole adventure, I don't know that there's anybody else that's done it.
Nice.
That's going to be so cool, man. I'm excited to see what you guys do, because that's going to be some sweet content.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fingers crossed it floats and everything goes as planned.
Has it been in water yet?
So it's we're not like truly building it.
Okay.
It's been in the water, but it's been like 10 years ago kind of thing.
Okay. Yep.
So it was pretty, rotten wood. Like we had to do a lot of like replacing wood. Nothing was sealed up. We put like, I probably spent 4 days putting M5200 caulk on like every seam. Yeah, it's like crawling around on your back, getting it. Having it drop in your beard.
Yeah.
And it's been hot, dirty, labor intense, like just all summer long. So, but when we get there, the end result is going to be just
pretty
crazy.
Sweet. Yeah,
man.
So kind of going off of the content piece a little bit here, like you kind of said, you kind of started, obviously from humble beginnings, getting the Duck Gun Chronicles off the ground. So what sort of advice would you give someone who's looking to start their own hunting related content show?
Right. I mean, I think the people that will be successful about it have to be willing to put in a lot of work. So, and not only that, but it's like you have to really enjoy like kind of all parts of it. The process of the hunting, being successful at that hunting, you have to want to hunt a lot, to get the content and all that. Cause it's a competitive field. I mean, people are willing to do this for free. Right. So, and because we're all passionate about it. Right. So if you want to like make a career out of it, it's kind of like, you have to be on the extreme level. Now, if you just want to do it for fun and, there's like more power to you. Cause it's awesome. Like being able to go watch, a video that I have from 6 years ago or whatever, and just having that like ability to go relive that memory. So there's kind of two fronts to it. Depends on what your whole goal with it is. But at the end of the day, like you can, like today we live, like technology's come a long way from when I started, man. I used to have like some of the old, like off-brand GoPros that were so terrible. Like, I mean, you couldn't see till like 9 o'clock because the sensor was so bad on those cameras. But like now, like everybody has a smartphone in their pocket, and so I've actually switched a lot of my like big DSLR cameras to like about like the most recent iPhone because it's so good, and so simple to use. Right. So, So everybody has one of those in their pocket. I use multiple on my filming, and I still use a GoPro on my head. So like to get into it, the barrier to entry is a lot less than it used to be. And the quality is a lot better than it used to be. So, just buy a GoPro, like save up, buy a GoPro, see if you like it, make your hunts for a season and kind of see where it goes. I get those questions a lot, and I feel like most of those people kind of jump into it and it's not exactly what they were kind of expecting. So, got to be willing to put in the time and go through the process for sure.
No, definitely. I mean, I think that's kind of true with a lot of things in life too, is if you got to be, willing to sacrifice and do the hard work. And then that's when, the fruits of the labor actually come to fruition once you've sacrificed and put in the work, and then you can start seeing those results come forward.
Well,
definitely
with that too. I mean, like it's not always, and this goes for anybody starting a channel too. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. I mean, it's hard, grindy work. But like you said, you said it before. I mean, if it's something you're passionate about and you love it, you enjoy doing it. So I mean, like with that, has it always been sunshines and rainbows for you, or has it been a process of just kind of learning by the edge of your seat?
Right. It's kind of that. And luckily, like kind of how we're talking about, I'm the kind of person that really enjoys it in the whole process. So even though like early on, it's like, it doesn't yield the same benefits, as it does now. It was still just something I love to do. And I love to like kind of be a part of it. And then they always talk about, oh, he's like an overnight success or something like that to certain people. I don't think people refer to me that way, but like just in particular, you hear that on the internet. And usually it's like people, they see it kind of from that perspective, but those people like built a base, they learned the craft, they grinded at, they got better at like all of it. And then, maybe you have a certain piece of content that like pops off or something, but they've built that foundation to kind of carry that, continue it on, and not be just like, oh man, I had this one viral video. And now I have all these extra eyeballs on my content, and like, what am I going to do with them? Well, I don't even know how to edit. So how am I going to make another one, But if you kind of built that foundation of not only like backlog content that they can go watch, but like you have the skill set to continue making it and the skill set to continue shooting ducks, then you can take it on somewhere.
For sure.
That's awesome.
So with that, what's been the most rewarding part of the Duck Gun Chronicles for you?
Probably like the people and like the relationships that you make along the way, and there's just so many people that I wouldn't have met like across the country, that I wouldn't have those buddies if there wasn't like some way to connect with them and they saw my content and we started hanging out. Some of my best friends, you know. And then not only that, but you know, me and my dad kind of we used to fly fish a little bit more. Cool. Now we duck hunt a lot more. So like bringing family into it, and it's like I said, it's hunting has really became like a big part of who I am. And then now I got like, you know, I got a couple daughters, and the oldest one, like she's came and sat with me on dove hunts. She's sat with me on duck hunts, and my oldest nephew, we've got him a turkey. The last 2 years, he's shot a Jake with 410.
Sweet.
And so he's been on. Yeah. Last year we had a really good duck hunt too. He shot his first mallard, first duck last year as well. So that's really rewarding. Sharing that with family and because it's if you don't duck hunt, if you don't hunt, you know, I'll just broaden it up. I know your audience isn't just duck hunters, but if you don't hunt, like there's like, what reason do I have to be like in a marsh and watch like the marsh wake up? Like I never did that before I duck hunted, right? It's like there's just no reason to get out of bed that early and go to a place and work real hard to get real far back and into this place that's, you know, full of solitude and full of creation and like watch it wake up and maybe even like I've spent like entire, you know, more than a day, you know, 40 hours plus in like a marsh without coming out. And you really just see something aside of that you never would otherwise. So that's always a cool thing to kind of think on.
Absolutely. No, I love that piece there about just being able to get out, especially like you said, who in their right mind's getting up that early to go sit out in the marsh and watch the, you know, entire world come alive. But when you are out there, you just feel so connected to nature. And you said like creation and just God and just all that. And it's just like everything starts to wake up. You're out there. And then, like you said, I mean, you're out there for a lot of times, you're out there all day. So you get to see stuff that, you know, regular old people that don't get outside, you would never even dream of seeing. So it's
right.
There's something special about it. And, you know, like we're talking, you know, with family too, I have 2 young boys and now I'm getting my oldest, he's 4 and starting to get him, you know, more involved with hunting. And we were at the game fair up in the cities this last weekend. And we had bought a little book from, you know, a local author all about hunting. And our oldest last night is like, can we read that book again? I'm like, yeah, you know, because it's like it talks about opening day of each season, and in my head, it's so cool because you get to start thinking about, you know, when you grow up, or you know, before kids, anyways, you get into hunting and it's fun and it's all about you kind of thing, and then now it's like when you start to have kids, you just start envisioning all these experiences you get to start having with them, and it's pretty cool, man.
Definitely,
yeah.
No,
so. Yeah. So kind of going off of that a little bit, you know, with as far as, you know, you're obviously an extremely busy guy and I'm sure even more so come fall, but how do you kind of fit in those times for, you know, kind of that self just kind of reset, you know, whether it's getting away out in the marsh or the woods or whatever, and just kind of having that time to just kind of take some time away, talk to the big guy upstairs and just kind of get that good reset in.
Right. I mean, that's a great thing for waterfowl because you do get to have those times that are set aside, like you said. So going on solo hunts or you know, you're scouting on the road and stuff like that, or you know, driving around the marsh scouting, or regardless of what it is. So luckily, I think that honestly it comes decently easy to get to have those kind of resets and get out there in the marsh and do kind of what you're talking about there.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So kind of just changing up a little bit. I know we talked about some early season, you know, adventures you got coming up here in tomorrow and then early September, but you know, kind of a run, you know, as far as, are you hunting basically from now and through, you know, like February?
Yeah. I mean, I go hard at it from, like I said, it's going to start Tuesday, and me and my wife were just talking about it because it is really busy. You know, it's kind of like 6 months of craziness where my schedule's just crazy. And this year's going to be even crazier, just the way kind of I set the schedule up, and we're like, yep, you ready for another year of this? And 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 I'm blessed to have my wife to be like on board and
sure.
Supportive of my endeavors. I mean, because it's like it's trying to like put it in like a relatable term to like most people, but like, this is my first year was my full-time job.
Awesome.
In the past, it's always been like I do my full-time job plus this, and I don't even know which one's crazier, because now it's like everything's dependent on that instead of trying to make the most out of both. And so it's gonna be a crazy year, and got to do a lot of crazy things. And it's going to be from August 15th through February 15th. It's just going to be like a flash in the pan. It's going to be gone. But we got a lot of stuff in store. But like I was saying, I'm super blessed to have my wife on board with that, and supportive of kind of like making this like a part of my life and endeavor to be successful at this. But I guess the best way to put it, like I kind of getting back to what I was saying is, truck drivers are on the road like a week on, week off. And that's kind of like a similar schedule to what I have to do to make content and travel around and shoot ducks, which I'm not complaining.
For sure.
So how do you find the balance in, being a dad, being a husband, traveling as much as that you do now? And congratulations, by the way, for taking that leap of faith and believing in yourself, because that's awesome. But like, with all that though, how do you find the balance in all that to still be a good dad, be a good husband, be there in the moment? Like how do you do that?
Right You definitely you have to be intentional. It can't be like something that just as intentional as I am about like, hey, we're going to this spot, I'm map scouting, I'm finding pins, I'm doing the scouting, we're going to make sure we have like all the gear, here's the list, like a very intentional, right? So you have to be very intentional with your kids and your wife as well, like making sure that you have the time and not just being like, hey, I'm home, I'm tired. I mean, sometimes you do have to take a nap. Like, I'm not saying that I don't, sure. but like, you can't just be like, okay, like I'm home now and now I'm a lazy bum. No, you got to be intentional.
Yeah.
And that's just, I don't know if I can say, luckily that's the person I am or what, but I'm just, and going as gung ho with that as I am with everything else. And you have to a little bit, or a lot, honestly. And especially in like the world we live in, one of my greatest fears, would be, there's a lot of things that kind of come to light, as you're a parent, and you kind of like, I think back to, when I was a kid, and I just kind of thought all these adults like had everything figured out. And you get to adult, and you're like, no, I'm just like a bigger sized kid. Like, it's just like, there's like a kid inside, like trapped inside me, and I'm an adult body that just keeps getting older.
Yep.
And, it's like, no, none of them had it figured out. You're just figuring it out as you go. And you kind of, you're just lucky that none of the kids call your bluff.
Yeah.
So, but in today's, the day and age we live in, there's just so many outside pressures, so many outside ideologies that are wrong and go against what we believe is truth and what we see in the Bible. So one of my greatest fears is that, and fear is not always a bad thing. Fear is what keeps a soldier alive in war. The fear that somebody's going to be around that corner, pointing a gun at them, and so like you kind of, it's a good thing to be worried about that kind of thing, that your kids are following what's right. And so I'm as intentional with making sure that they're in line with what we learn from the Bible as I am, going out and killing ducks.
Love that.
That's awesome, man. No, it's super cool. And, when you start to see your kids you can kind of see like it start to click in their head, whether it's at supper and you ask like we asked our oldest, do you want to lead prayer tonight? And he does it. I mean, he gets about half the words right of the prayer, but then he starts, to saying thank you for, this, that, and whatever, but it just kind of start to cool. And then those moments too, where you kind of were talking, I think, where like, you thought all these adults had it figured out, and then you get to figure out like nobody had it figured out. They're just learning. But every once in a while you get a little reminder, I think, from your kids that you're doing all right, and start to kind of see that come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Love it. Yeah. And just kind of going off of that a little bit too. I mean, his with your faith, has that been something for you where, obviously it probably, like we said it earlier, it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows creating this. You've had to put in hours and hours of hard work of like mastering multiple different crafts to get to be where you're at now. I mean, how has your faith played into a role to that to get you where you're at today?
Right. Definitely. Yeah. So it's always, kind of to go a little bit back with that, I grew up in a pretty, religious, a religious family growing up. And so it's kind of always been like a really big part of like, my life growing up. And so, but kind of like when I got to, and I think a lot of people kind of go through this in a certain stage of their life. And, I got to a point in my life where, I stopped really having like the desire to really be a part of it, to be a part of religion. I know my dad had in particular like said stuff to me a couple times, like, hey, like, why aren't you coming to church and this and that. And, really like going through some like times of doubt. I'm like, it's like, is this really real? Is the scripture real, or is it just like made up? And what if it's not, and kind of trying to wrap my head around that. And kind of, I was the kid that like, always went to youth group and went on missions trips, summer camp, to church. I went to Christian college, and got married to my wife. And this is kind of like post that, so still, later in my life. So as far as like, as far as like my belief and faith in that time, it took some kind of soul searching to be able to come back around to the idea that yes, it is all true. And I think a lot of that was getting to get out into the marsh and seeing God's creation and being a part of that. It's one piece of scripture that kind of comes to my mind. I'm trying to remember what part of the Bible it's from, but I believe it was Luke that said, if we were silent, the rocks would cry out. And talking about like creation, and if we don't say anything, like creation kind of screams that like, God is real and that this is all his creation. So, that definitely played a big part into, the duck hunting and getting out there. Kind of circling back to what you said with like getting out there on the solo hunts. 'Cause it's a little different, being out there by yourself opposed to like, being with buddies. And so I still really enjoy, most of my hunts end up being with buddies, but I enjoy those chances where I get to get out there by myself.
It's like one of those things too, like you get so accustomed, I've been running and gunning for a long time with I'm not the biggest waterfowler hunter, but for deer hunting, for turkey hunting, I've traveled quite a bit. And, you get excited for those trips with buddies and stuff like that, but you really do appreciate, like this last year, this turkey that I killed in Minnesota by myself, that was the first one I've killed by myself in probably like 10 years. It's crazy. And it was like one of those moments where it was just like, I really feel God is really close to me right now. 'Cause it's just you and your thoughts and you and God, and that's it. And like, so that's where it is cool. On those moments you can get out alone and just appreciate what you're doing, where you're at. And it's cool.
Right. And kind of continue on to like, talk about faith and kind of like my reemergence into it. And it's like, as a man, I feel like a lot of times we almost like bottle that in. We don't really talk about it. It's not really I don't know. It's just something, it just doesn't seem like you can talk about it. You seem like less of a man if you talk about it for whatever reason, whether that's true or not. But I'm trying to think of where I was going with that now, but,
no, I mean, I know what you're
edit this out.
No, I know 100% what you're saying. It's that's why we started this podcast, was this kind of the mindset that people that enjoy hunting and fishing in the outdoors, it's like the greatest gateway to God's creation and talking about God, because it is a hard conversation to have and to have with others. But it's like once it happens, you're in it, and then you can kind of be back to like yourself and talk about it, and I don't know if that's a stigma for men where it's just we're too prideful, where it's like, nah, I'm good. And it's like, man, and then you appreciate having, it's like, well, that was a good 7-minute conversation I didn't know I was going to have today.
Right. I kind of remember where I was heading with that, and kind of like, going like another thing that really kind of got me into gear is like, hey, I really need to do some soul searching. Is having my first kid, that just puts a lot in perspective. It's like, hey, what do you want? What do you want them to believe? And like just being able to, it puts a lot of things in perspective, right? You can't just live for yourself. You need to, kind of circle back around and figure out what for yourself, and have an answer for them. Because it's like, the kids, it's like you said, their minds are always running too. And I don't want to be like, hey, I don't have an answer for you on this, or I don't know what the Bible says, or I don't know what I believe. And so I have to do some soul searching and read for myself. And that's kind of where I circled around, preparing myself for, what it means to be a man, to be a dad, to be a leader in your family as well. And kind of even to continue off that, I feel like we're really in the day and age, and really the way the country's going, we're in like a epidemic of men and masculinity, where, it's like growing up, if I was to think of what was a man, what is a real man, I'd probably try to find like the guy that's the best athlete in the room, or the guy that's maybe the smooth talker with the ladies. And like today, like what the kids look at, and like that's not even like what a biblical man is, or biblical masculinity is. But at least I feel like you can go from that, read the Bible, and kind of continue on like the right path, where today's day and age, if you look at what these kids have to go through and what they have to figure out, and the stuff that they have to navigate, like I honestly, not growing up in it, it's hard to understand completely their perspective of like a man is just whoever you want to be, or whatever it is. Like there's no real perspective on it, and it's
scary.
I feel for that generation, right? So
no, it is. Yeah, I mean, put it simply, is it's an interesting time. But and I think you're kind of hitting it there too, is like and that's where you got to kind of take some of that ownership onto yourself, and be intentional with seeking God out, seeking his guidance, and referring back to the scripture. Because I've said it before a million times on here, just talking about how the Bible is kind of just that ultimate guidebook to life, where it's, you have questions and concerns, like there's thousands of answers in that little book that's ready to speak out to you if you're willing to accept it. And I think too, with now all of us obviously being fathers and stuff too, is when you are able to set that, and you kind of talked about it, and this is, I don't know if this is going to be a good relation here, but I'm going to go with it. But if where you kind of talked about like content, where if you have that one moment of where you blow up, but you don't have any sort of foundation underneath you, you're just going to kind of fall flat on your face. And I think that's the same with faith, is if you're guiding your kids, you're trying to build that foundation up for them, so when they do fall on their face, they do have something to come back to, and kind of help them along and pick themselves back up. But
right,
yeah, it's like you said, it's an interesting time to be alive here, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how you said, the Bible's kind of the ultimate example of what your guidebook for life is. And if you need to look at what it means to be a masculine man in today's, or just a man in general, but like masculinity is kind of seen as something that's negative, but you can look at examples all through the Bible of men and of what God, calls men to be,
right.
To be men that are biblical and masculine at the same time. It's and it's like a foreign idea to a lot of people nowadays, but I mean, all throughout scripture, you can kind of see where he's called us. I mean, it says in Genesis, he created them man, like male and female. he created man in his image. You know, you look through Ephesians, and he's called men to be leaders of their family, and to be leaders of their children and leaders of their household. You can look at all the different men of faith throughout the Bible, from Abraham to Joshua to, I mean, you name it, to Moses, to David, you know, and they're not all perfect, you know, and it's kind of like you said as well, you know, it's about learning to pick yourself up. And I believe it's in Psalms as well from David, where he says the righteous man falls 7 times, but still gets up again.
Preaching. I love it.
I was gonna say, man, I got some goosebumps going on here. I like it, man. That's good stuff. That's great, man. Awesome. So we kind of, you know, we're kind of wrapping it up here. We kind of do a little bit of a fun little segment to kind of close it out. A little quick fire questions for you. So, what is your go-to snack and drink in the duck blind early morning?
Oh man, go-to snack. I'm not much of a snacker, but I'll drink a lot of coffee. Yeah. So yep. Dirty Duck coffee is the way to go for that.
Now, are you bringing a thermos in? Or are you like jet boiling coffee when you're out there?
I do the thermos. Okay. Yeah. The jet boil is a little it's fine if you got it, but I don't have one, so I just haven't done it. I got a percolator coffee maker for the boat.
Okay.
Though.
Perfect.
So,
that's perfect.
Yeah, because with our solar and our inverter, I was shocked to find out how many watts it takes to run a coffee maker. So we got percolator on the stove.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then I run a thermos. Yeah, with the Stanley. You know, before they were.
Yeah. That's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. Oh my gosh. Right. Yeah. All right. So,
no straw needed.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, especially with coffee, that'd be interesting. Okay. So next one, if you could only hunt one duck the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh man. Oh. I don't know. I'm going to probably take some flack if I say the mallard. That's a tough one. That really is. But we shoot more mallards than anything else here locally. Sure. So if I have to stay here, we'd probably be shooting wood ducks.
Okay. Cool.
Wait, I said wood ducks. That's what I wanted to say. Wood ducks or mallards. Okay. Can I just say
both? There you go. Perfect. That works. Nice. And then, so what's that one piece of gear, your favorite piece of gear that you never leave home without?
Final Approach makes an awesome waterfowl backpack. I talk about it all the time. Yep. It's got like a gun caddy on the side, because we walk in places, even if you're walking in a field, like it's just one less thing you got to have slung over your shoulder. Yep. So I'll set it on the truck bed. That gunsling comes in handy a lot. So you put your gun in there. It's kind of like, it's bigger than like the over the shoulder type. So it's, it's got multiple compartments for that, and it's got the hiking straps. So I've used other ones that don't have, it's just a backpack, but then you load it down. This thing's got like the one that goes around your belly and the one that goes around your chest. Yep. You can cinch them up. You got a gun caddy on one side. You got your thermos holder on the other side. You got all your stuff inside. And then I'll take a game strap and I hook it on there, so then I can walk out with my ducks on the bag as well. So that's been an awesome one.
Is that the one that's kind of like a dry bag where it opens up and then you can roll it down, or is that a different one?
That's a different one. Okay. That one's good for like, putting in a canoe or something like that. I'll use it, but for like just the walk-in hunts. And the other thing it has on there, I almost forgot, which I don't use a ton, but it's got a tree strap. So if you're ever hunting around a tree, like in a swamp or like in a little island where you're just sitting in the brush, you can strap it around the tree. So then it's still got the gun caddy. Yep. So you put your gun right in it. And that's a genius idea. Half the things about waterfowl is just cool to look cool too, right? So it looks cool while you're doing it. There you go.
That's funny. So this is kind of going off of just the looking cool with duck hunting. So what's one duck hunting myth you wish would disappear?
One duck hunting myth. That wood ducks don't decoy.
I like it.
Do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, get into it. Yeah.
Sure. So there's a lot of people that just, like wood ducks are just going to point A to point B. They won't come on your decoys. You can't call to them, this and that. It's like, no, you just don't know how to hunt ducks. You gotta have wood duck decoys.
There you go.
You're talking to Duck Hunter when you got them on the. I was just making a video earlier today, but
perfect.
You got to have, they're species specific a lot of times. You can't be like, hey, I'm sitting over here in this, like, I'm trying to think of a bad habitat, like big open water, when there's this backwoods slough that maybe the mallards don't like, but the wood ducks do. So it's like, yeah, but if you go in that backwoods slough and all you did is hunt there, you'd say, oh, the mallards don't work. But like, people are setting up for mallards in mallard places and calling it wood ducks with mallard calls, and they're like,
why aren't they coming in?
Ducks just don't. They just don't come into the set, So I will say that they're less agreeable to the call than a mallard, but it's like saying that, like, I'm trying to think of a good, like, that bass don't bite because they don't bite as good as bluegill, right? It's like, well, you just, like, you're using the wrong stuff. You got the wrong setup and you got the wrong expectation, and you're fishing in the wrong spot. So wood ducks are no different. They're less likely to come in than mallards, but like, you got to at least be in the right place with the right setup.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. So
great. Perfect.
I've got one. What is that bucket list hunt for you? If that's taking the boat and taking the River Queen on the water, is it going to Alaska and killing ducks? Like, what is the one hunt, if you could just check off your bucket list this year, what would it be?
This year, it's the boat.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's for sure. Lifetime is getting the Timber Queen to Alaska. No,
that'd be epic.
That would be a journey. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how many miles, or if it'd even be possible. But I was joking around talking about that the other day. Like, if we could just get the Timber Queen to Alaska, then we'll sell it and fly home.
Hey, and there you go.
Right. So, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. Never say never. That's sure. Never say never. Yeah. But yeah. But this year it's definitely the boat, because we've worked so hard for it. When we had the dream and the foresight to kind of go after it, all year really, and to get it in the water and have some success and make some awesome content, have a great adventure, great story to tell, probably forever. It's going to be hard to outdo this story, I think, ever. So
cool.
That's going to be sick, man. I'm excited. Sweet. Evan, you got any other questions for him?
That was it. That was my last one. So
perfect.
No, this was fun. We really appreciate you again, just taking the time out of your busy day to hop on and talk with us, talk about hunting, talk about God. It was fun. So thank you. We're excited to see the content coming out in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Appreciate it, fellas.
Sweet.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith in the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.